Welcome back to Deca Facts, where we explore the real stories behind the people who shaped our world. No spin, no shortcuts. Today, we're counting down 10 political leaders who didn't just lead their nations, they changed history. Let's begin. 10. Angela Merkel, Germany. When Angela Merkel took office in 2005, Germany was still recovering from economic stagnation and trying to define its place in a modern Europe. Over the next 16 years, she became a global symbol of stability, pragmatism, and quiet strength. Through the financial crisis, the Eurozone bailout, and a controversial decision to welcome over 1 million refugees, Merkel never raised her voice. But the world listened. And when the time came, she didn't cling to power. She stepped away voluntarily in 2021, choosing not to seek a fifth term. No scandal, no downfall. Just a deliberate, dignified exit. 9. Nelson Mandela, South Africa. Nelson Mandela's path to power was long and brutal. He spent 27 years in prison for resisting South Africa's apartheid regime. When he was finally released in 1990, many expected anger and retribution. Instead, Mandela chose reconciliation. In 1994, he became the country's first black president and the face of a new democratic South Africa. But perhaps his most powerful act was knowing when to leave. He served just one term and stepped down in 1999. He believed that leadership wasn't about clinging to office, but about guiding a nation forward and then making room for the next chapter. 8. Vladimir Lenin, Soviet Union. In 1917, Vladimir Lenin changed the course of world history with a single revolution. He overthrew the Russian monarchy, installed a communist regime, and gave birth to the Soviet Union. For millions, it was the dawn of a new ideology. For others, it was the start of totalitarian rule. Lenin ruled only briefly. He suffered strokes, lost the ability to speak, and died in 1924. But even in death, his ideas marched on, carried on by those who followed. His body was embalmed, his image mythologized, but the man himself was gone, long before his revolution ran its full course. 7. Margaret Thatcher, United Kingdom. Across the sea, Margaret Thatcher was reshaping Britain in a different way. Taking office in 1979, she tore through the post-war consensus like a buzzsaw. She privatized industries, weakened trade unions, and redefined British conservatism. Her style was tough, uncompromising, earning her the nickname, the Iron Lady. But by 1990, even her own party had enough. Facing internal rebellion and growing public discontent, she was pushed out and forced to resign. Her exit was dramatic, but her influence remained. To this day, Britain still argues over the world Thatcher left behind. 6. Mao Zedong, China. Few leaders were as adored and feared as Mao Zedong. After leading a communist revolution in 1949, he transformed China into a single-party state. He pushed through massive programs like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, with devastating human costs, famine, persecution, and millions dead. Yet he unified a fractured nation and gave China a new global identity. Mao ruled until his death in 1976. Afterward, his successors took a sharp turn toward economic reform, even as Mao's portrait continued to loom over Tiananmen Square. The country evolved, but never fully let him go. 5. Winston Churchill, United Kingdom. In Britain, Winston Churchill became more than a prime minister. He became a wartime legend. In the darkest days of World War II, his voice became Britain's spine. He didn't promise safety, only sacrifice, and the country followed him through fire. But war heroes don't always survive peace. After the war ended, Churchill lost re-election in 1945. He returned briefly in the 1950s, but by then, his health was fading and his moment had passed. He died in 1965, buried as a national hero. The man who saved Britain had lived long enough to see it move on. 4. Simón Bolívar, South America. Far from Europe, Simón Bolívar had a dream of a united South America, one free of colonial rule and bound together by shared purpose. He led revolutions across what is now Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. His armies crossed the Andes, defied empires, and shattered centuries of Spanish domination. But unity proved harder than freedom. The new republics fractured, and Bolívar, once hailed as a liberator, died in exile in 1830, heartbroken, abandoned by the very countries he helped create. He won independence, but not the future he imagined. 3. Abraham Lincoln, United States. In America, Abraham Lincoln faced an existential crisis. When the Civil War broke out, it wasn't just about territory, it was about the soul of the United States. Lincoln kept the Union intact and signed the Emancipation Proclamation, setting the path to end slavery. He saw America not as it was, but as it could be. But just days after victory, in 1865, Lincoln was assassinated. He became a martyr before he could finish the work he started. His death turned him from a president into a symbol of sacrifice, unity, and unfinished promise. 2. Franklin D. Roosevelt, United States. Franklin D. Roosevelt led the U.S. through two of its greatest tests, the Great Depression and World War II. Elected to an unprecedented 4 terms, he used government power to create jobs, stabilize the economy, and redefine the social contract. When war came, he became the voice of global democracy, but his body paid the price. In 1945, just before the war ended, FDR died in office, exhausted, worn down by years of relentless leadership. His vision lived on, in the United Nations, in the post-war world order, and in the belief that government could be a force for good. 1. Mahatma Gandhi, India. Number 1 on this list is Mahatma Gandhi. He never held a political title, at least not in the conventional sense. But through nonviolence and civil disobedience, Gandhi led India to independence from British rule. He starved himself in protest. He walked hundreds of miles to challenge unjust laws. He taught the world that moral force can be stronger than military might. But not everyone agreed with him. In 1948, just months after independence, Gandhi was assassinated by a nationalist who believed he had compromised too much. He freed a country, but paid the ultimate price. Power ends, sometimes with retirement, sometimes with rejection, sometimes with death. But the true measure of a leader isn't how long they stay in office. It's how deeply they change the world after they're gone. If you found this history worth hearing, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a new video. And tell us in the comments, which of these leaders do you think had the greatest impact? Here at Deca Facts, we believe history isn't just about dates and facts. It's about understanding the people and moments that continue to shape our lives today. Thanks for joining us as we embrace the past to better understand our future. Until next time.